Welcome back, guys. This is Jason, KM4ACK. Today, we're going to continue on the Raspberry Pi 4 build. Stick around, and we'll get right to it. Okay, so just a quick recap from last week. We flashed our card, we got the initial setup done, and we were able to VNC into it. We got the hotspot installed, and then we got the GPS installed and working. Today we're going to start with FLRig. This one happens to be super easy to install right now because the repositories have almost the very latest version of the application in there, and we don't have to compile it from source. As this changes over time, I'll update the web page to reflect those changes. So I'm just going to open up my terminal and paste in that command. We'll sit back and wait, and FLRig will be installed. This is one of the primary ways that I use rig control nowadays. I just find that it's easy, it works, and it'll work with several different applications. JS8 call, FT8. I even use it now primarily for Pat Windlink. Just set it there, and then inside of Pat, I don't typically enter any connection information. I just go ahead and click the connect button because I've already changed it with FLRig. Up in our menu, we should be able to find FLRig. So I'm going to go ahead and open that and see if we can't get that configured. So now that it's open, let me get this out of the way. Let's hit config, setup, transceiver. And the rig that we're going to use is the 857D today. And the serial port, you kind of have to play with this a little bit and look and to figure out which one is your CAT cable. But on my particular CAT cable, I know that it starts with this FTDI right here, so I'm going to select that one. My baud rate is 4800. The rest of them I'm basically just going to leave at default and click the initialize button. I heard my rig click a couple of times across the room, so I know everything is up and working. So FLRig is configured and ready to run. I'm going to go ahead and close that. We don't need that open currently. All right, clear that screen out, and let's see what's up next. All right, this is something that I like to do that really kind of customizes my Pi for me. And once you learn to do this, you'll probably want to do this as well. Have you ever noticed sometimes, let's say the ls command. I can run the ls command here, and it works. If I'm over in the downloads directory, I can run it here, and it works. But sometimes we can't type a command in any directory. We've got to be in that specific directory in order for it to work. So let's look at this GPS install right here. If I'll go back to my home directory and I try to run GPS install, it's going to give me a command not found, even though that script is on my system. So that has to do with your path in Linux. If a command is within the path, you can run it from anywhere in the system. If it's not in a path, then you have to be in that specific directory. To see your path, you can type echo space $path in all capital letters, and that'll return your current path. And each folder is separated with a colon here. So this is one folder in the path. This is the next. What we're going to do is we're going to add a directory to that path that we can store some of our scripts in. So let's take a look at this. You'll see that I just ran that echo path right there. We're going to make a new directory. So we'll just copy that command and paste it in. And then we're going to modify the bash RC file. So I'm going to copy that command. We'll paste it in. and we're going to come to the very bottom of this file. Just use your arrow keys on your keyboard. We'll give it one more space, and when we get to the bottom, we're going to add this information here. So I'm just going to paste that in here. I'm going to press Control X, Y, and Enter. Now, in order for those changes to take effect, you're going to have to close out of the terminal window. I'm going to open the terminal back up, and I'm going to run that echo $path command again. You'll notice right here we have a new directory, home pi bin. So anything I put inside of this bin directory can then be run from anywhere on the system. With some of the scripts and things that I've written that I'm going to share with you guys, you want to put them in that directory just so you can run them from anywhere and you don't have to be in any one particular directory for those to run. So that's modifying bash RC. Next up, we're going to install Windlink. Now, I've got two different videos that just released. These are updated from the ones I did over a year ago now. So I'm going to kind of go through this setup really quick, but if you want more detailed explanations, you can check out these two previous videos. So first thing we're going to do is move over to the downloads directory, and then this command will grab the latest version of PAT, which is 0.8.0. So I'm going to paste that in. While that's downloading, I'm going to go ahead and copy my next command. Again, guys, notice that this moves back and forth. Make sure you get all of the commands when you're copying them. Now that we've got that downloaded, I'm going to just paste the install command in. And that's done. So we're going to go ahead and clear that screen. And I'm going to go ahead and configure this really fast. Again, if you need help with configuring PAT, check out the previous two videos that I've done. Okay, and after we've got it, after we've got PAT configured, we want to go ahead and get that to start on boot. So I'm going to go ahead and copy these two commands. We'll run them one at a time. So there's the first one. Here's the second one. And then finally, we're going to reboot the system. So those last two commands will have PAT start as the system boots up. To check that, we can type PIDOF space PAT, and this should return a number. This is a process number, so we know that PAT is running in the background. Let's see what's next up on the page. All right, so there's the PID of PAT that we just ran. Next, we're going to be installing RDOP and RDOP GUI. RDOP is a way for PAT to communicate over HF, and the GUI just gives us a graphical representation of the connection as it happens. So, first up is RDOP. And we'll just go ahead and start copying and pasting commands one by one here. So the first one, we made a new directory. That one we changed into the new directory. This one, make sure I only get one line at a time here. This one is going to download the Pi RDOP-C modem. And the next one is going to make it executable. There we go. All right, let's just clear that screen here. The next command we're going to run is arecord-l. Arecord is going to return this information to you. Now, you do need to make sure that your Signal Link or Wolfie Link or, whatever sound card you're running is hooked up before running this command. The critical information I'm looking for here is card 1, device 0. And the USB audio codec tells me that I'm looking at my Signal Link. So card 1, device 0. And then to start the modem, we're just going to start it just to verify that everything is working. We're actually still in the RDOP directory. So we're going to use this command here. Now again, I go over this in more detail in the two videos referenced in the PAT Windlink section. But what this does, this is calling the Pi RDOP-C modem for port 8515, this plug HW colon, and then 1,0, and this 1,0 is coming from this information here, the card number and the device number. And then we repeat that. So we'll just go ahead and press return, and you'll see that the R.C is listening. And then a couple more seconds, and we should get a bit more information about its levels. So there's its current input pinks. We'll press Control-C to get out of this. All I wanted to do was verify that that was working. We'll clear that screen out, and let's go ahead and get r.GUI installed. So again, one command at a time. And this command, we're already in the r.dop directory, so the first one actually tells you to change to the r.dop directory. Since we're already there, it doesn't hurt anything to run that command, but basically it's in the instructions just to verify you're in the right folder. Next, we're going to download the r.GUI with that command. I'm going to slide over and go ahead and copy my next one while we're waiting on that to download. This makes the r.GUI executable, and then we want to run this last command here. I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit, and as we run this command, you'll notice that we now have a new icon right over here on our screen. So if we double-click the icon, we want to say execute. First time it runs, it's going to ask you for the host name and the port. For the host name, we're going to enter local, and for the port number, we're going to enter 8515. We'll go ahead and hit the OK button. It's going to say that it needs to restart. That's fine. It'll do it automatically. And if we were in a connection, you would see data streaming by in these windows. But we'll just go ahead and close that out for the time being. Let's see what's next up on the list. All right, so the next is the find r.dop script that I have written. Now, this basically keeps a list up to date on your system so that if you're out in the field, you're able to locate r.dop gateways to connect with Windlink. So first thing we're going to do is move directories. And then let's use this wget command to download the script. So we'll paste that in here. Our next command is going to make it executable once again. We need to change directories now. We're going to move back to the r.dop directory. And I'm going to use this command to download a PDF document. And this is a map that we can use when we're locating that. Now, I've done a video on this Find r.dop that goes over how to use it once you've got it installed. So we're not going to cover all of that in this one, but we'll leave a link to that in the document. Next up, we're going to install an app. This is called Events, and it's a PDF viewing app that I like to use, and it's what the script relies on to be able to display the maps. We definitely got to have that. Okay, once that finishes up, just going to clear the screen out, and let's see what our next command is. This one here, and this is going to create another new shortcut right over here. So we'll paste that in, and you'll see the new Find r.dop shortcut that shows up right over here on this side of the screen. Let's go ahead and double click that. This time, instead of saying execute, we want to say execute in terminal. And this takes a couple of seconds to run to get started the first time. It downloads one additional piece that it needs to work, and then it's downloading all of the lists that we need. And you can see that it'll come up. It also tells you that you do need to maximize the screen for the best view. That just keeps the information from wrapping into 2 lines. But there it is. Find r.dop is up and running. I'm going to press 4 to get out of it and return. And we're back to the terminal window that we were working in a while ago. Okay, so now let's automate the find RDOP script so that it will keep our list up to date, and it will do it every night at 2 a.m. So again, we're going to go into our cron tab with cron tab-E. We're going to scroll to the bottom of that file. You'll see here's what we entered in during the last video where we were setting up the auto hotspot. So it'll be just down below that. And we're going to run these two lines here. So we'll paste those in. And every night at 2 a.m., it's going to run the get RDOP list script, which will keep our list up to date. To get out of this, let's press Control X, Y, and Enter. Okay, so next up on the list is rig control. I like to keep this installed so that I can interact with the rig from the command line. If you so choose to do it that way, you could also use this in PAT so that PAT could control the radio. And it allows us to control the rig through some of the bash scripts that I have custom written. So we'll go ahead. Now on this particular application, it's going to take a little bit longer to run because we are actually going to be compiling this from source. So copy this second line here. That will download the application. It is in a tar file, so the next command that we're going to run will untar it. So, and if you're not familiar with tar files, they're very similar to zip files. But this command will untar that. All right, the next one is just going to remove that zip file, kind of tidy up our system as we go here. And then we're going to move into this new directory that it has created. And the next one is going to be the configure command. Now, the downside to compiling, it does take a little bit longer to get them compiled and installed. There is a chance of running into issues as we do this. The upside to this is we get the absolute latest and greatest version of this. This application, HamLib, is constantly changing and updating to newer rigs as they come onto the market. They update older rigs with new commands, things of that. So you definitely do want the very latest version of HamLib if you're going to run rig control. Okay, once that configure command finishes up, we're going to use the make command next. So we'll paste that in and give that a few minutes. Okay, and once the make command finishes up, we'll do sudo make install. All right, that only takes a couple of seconds. Last but not least is sudo ld config. We'll paste that in and return. And that completes the HamLib section. So we've only got a couple of things left, and we're going to have our base ready to go. Next up on the list is Direwolf. So we'll go ahead and move to our home directory with cd space tilde. And we're going to clone Direwolf. Now again, we're going to build this, or I'm sorry, compile this from source rather than downloading it, because that'll give us a much more current version of Direwolf. All right, once that gets finished, let's move into the Direwolf directory. That's the next command. And then we need to install these two apps. I'm sorry, this app. It's not two of them, it's only one of them. We do need to get this installed because Direwolf is dependent upon this app already being installed. So we'll go ahead and do that installation. That's pretty quick and simple. And again, we're going to run the make command. So we'll paste that in, and we'll give that just a few minutes to run. Okay, once that finishes up, it'll actually tell you right here what to do next, the sudo make install, which is the exact same command that we have here on the web page. Go ahead and paste that in and give that a couple of minutes to run. Oh, I forgot. That's the quick one. Okay, so the next one is the install conf. Again, right here from our page. So we'll paste that in. And then the last one it tells you to do is this make install -RPI. I don't typically run this. As far as I know, all it does is put a desktop icon here, and I really don't need that. So we're going to call that good right there. Now, we do need to go ahead and get a basic configuration of Direwolf done. This only takes a couple of seconds. And if you don't recall from before what your sound card settings were, we're going to go ahead and paste in this arecord-L. And this tells us right here, this is our SignalLink sound card that we're working with. It is card 1, device 0. Okay, yours could be different, but probably not. So you can probably just follow along with the defaults here, but should your card be different, you'll have to change some things in the Direwolf file. So we're going to go back to our home directory with cd space tilde, and then we're going to say nano direwolf.conf. All right, and we'll start scrolling down. I am looking for this first line right here that says a device plug HW colon 1, 0. There is a pound sign in front of that. We want to remove that pound sign. This here is that sound card information. So if yours happens to be different from 1, 0, or card 1, device 0 rather, you want to change those numbers there. Let's keep coming down the file until we see no call. That's what I'm looking for. So here's that no call. So let me come right on down here, and I'm going to put my call sign in right there. And then last but not least, just a few more lines down, look right here and make sure that this line, this modem 1200, does not have a pound sign in front of it. I think now as a default, it's set up like this without the pound sign. We definitely don't want a pound sign in front of it. Go ahead and press Control X, Y, and Enter to get out. And let's see. Yep, so this tells us this is exactly what we just did. That one we replaced no call, and we made sure that the pound sign was not in front of modem 1200. So that takes care of the basic Direwolf configuration. Good enough for now. Now, if you want to do things more complicated, like running a digipeater strictly with Direwolf, you're going to have a lot more configuration, but that's way out of the scope of this video. All right, let's move on to the AX25 tools. And guys, Direwolf and the AX25 tools, let's see, I'm going to copy and paste this in here. These are things that other apps can use. So Pat Windlink may use it. Exaster, if you want to set up a APRS. iGate, you can use it with Yak, which is yet another APRS client. A lot of different applications can use these basic tools to communicate over RF. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is run this sudo nano AX port command. So I'm going to paste that in. And then we're going to come to the bottom of this file right here. And we are going to paste in this line. So I need to copy that. And we'll paste it here. And then I've got to change no call to my call sign. Of course, you will use your own call sign here. Control X, Y, and Enter to get out. All right, let's see what's next up on the list. We need to install this AX25-apps. So we'll go ahead and paste that in. Give that just a couple of seconds. Let's see. And we need to reboot when we're done with this. So we'll go ahead and issue the reboot command. Press enter, and we'll be right back. Okay, so after the reboot, let's go ahead and open up the terminal window, and then let's slide back over to the web page. We are just about at the bottom, guys. All right, this will tell you how to do a PAT Windlink test to know that you've got the 2-meter packet stuff all installed correctly. I'm not going to do that right now, only because I don't have a packet station close enough to me that I can connect to. I do want to show you this, though. And this is something that's a new issue in Buster when you start Direwolf. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in the direwolf-p command. I'll hit return, and you'll notice that we get flashing text. This is a known issue. I do believe they're working on it. There are some workarounds to it, and I may get into those in another video, how to install the development version, but I just basically wanted you to know for right now, it doesn't affect anything. It's just a bit annoying. But it does work perfectly the way it's done, and this is not something that you've done incorrectly. So it works just like it's supposed to with this known bug. To get out of it, you can press Control-C. You'll still have the flashing text, but if you type clear, all of that will go away. All right, guys, that is the base system complete. Now, everything else that we will do, and we'll get into these next sections in the next video, that's going to be the actual applications that we run on top of our base. Don't forget, guys, to back up your Pi. Now would be a fantastic time to do that, since you've got your base right where you want it and you know that everything is working correctly. All right, we'll get into the application install on the next video. We'll see you guys then. Until then, 7-3.